Hey, everybody. Welcome to a very special Authors in Conversation here on A Mighty Blaze. This is the first time we have had a cookbook author on A Mighty Blaze. We have the marvelous Julia Turshen here with us today, and she's going to be interviewed by Mary Weber O'Malley, who's a bookseller at Skylark Books. Did I get that right? And is part of our Blaze team. So we're super psyched to have you both today. And Julia is joining us from the great outdoors because internet and because it's a gorgeous day.
Yeah, live from my driveway.
Yeah, it works.
It works.
So Mary Weber O'Malley is a virtual bookseller at large for Skylark Bookshop in Missouri and the scheduler and author liaison for A Mighty Blaze. She is a writer and she reviews books on Instagram as Blurb Your Enthusiasm. That's blurb_your enthusiasm. When she is not stalking authors on social media, reading books, reviewing books, or writing her own, she and her husband are tending to their little suburban homestead outside Chicago. They use their 2 dogs, 2 cats, and 5 chickens as bait to lure their children and grandchildren for visits. I can see that be very effective. Julia Turshen is the best-selling author of Now and Again, named the best cookbook of 2018 by Amazon and an NPR Great Read. Feed the Resistance, named the best cookbook of 2017 by Eater, and Small Victories, named one of the best cookbooks of 2016 by the New York Times and NPR. She also hosts the IACP-nominated podcast called Keep Calm and Cook On. Her latest cookbook, Simply Julia, which we're here to celebrate today, has already received praise from people like Jennifer Garner, Carla Hall, and Antoni Porowski, with whom I am in love, as we discussed earlier. But, it would not be reciprocated for various reasons. Julia has co-authored numerous cookbooks as well and has written for the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, Vogue, Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, Saveur, and more. She's also the host of we already mentioned the podcast. Yes, keep calm.
That's fine.
I think I mentioned it again. Epicurious has called her one of the 100 greatest home cooks of all time, and the New York Times has described her as at the forefront of the new generation of authentic, approachable authors. Julia lives in the Hudson Valley with her wife and pets. Welcome, Julia. We are thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your flexibility as I made it out here. But it's really nice to be outside, and it's really nice to be with both of you. And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, it's a thrill to be here with you. Because I've been stalking you on social media with all of the recipes that I've made, but I don't think I've ever connected with a cookbook the way I have with Simply Julia. And I was thinking about this as I was, writing down questions and things. And with the pandemic and everything that's been going on, I find myself very easily overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And yet your cookbook, everything about it is so reassuring and so welcoming and kind of like, you can do this too, that I felt a great connection with it. Can you tell us, what brought you to create this cookbook, why it's different from your others, and what to you makes it so special?
Sure. Well, first I'll just say, that means so much to me to hear. And, I've seen the photos you've shared on Instagram and stuff of everything you've been cooking. And, each time I see one, it just makes me so happy. So it's, it's really nice to hear that, face to face or screen to screen, whatever we are. I just really appreciate it. And that just truly does mean a lot to me. And so in terms of, why did I write this book or how did it come to be? As Jane mentioned so kindly in the introduction, I've worked on a lot of other books, and I just had this moment where I felt like, I think I have another one in me. And I feel that way for 2 reasons. One, I've been a daily home cook for years now, like pre-pandemic. And I just feel like home cooking is incredibly important and incredibly undervalued. And I just wanted to champion it a little bit more. So there was that. And the other thing was I just felt like it was really important to, I guess, just from a really personal place, to really broaden the idea of what healthy means. I brought a copy of my book out and the wind just knocked it over. Here it is. I wrote a healthy cookbook that's not about weight loss. And that feels really significant to me and important and valuable and just worth saying and putting out there. I guess the third thing I'll just add to this list is, because I've worked on lots of other cookbooks, I've been able to just be in this ongoing conversation with the people like yourself now who have cooked from my books. And that means not only do I have really nice moments like this one, but I also get asked a lot of questions. And I just basically seek to be useful, like in life in general. Like that's something I strive for. So this book started off absolutely as like the most practical book I've ever written, informed by my home cooking, informed by the questions I get asked most frequently, my desire to answer them, to really respond to them. I'm going to lay this book down because it's not cooperating. You can't see it anyway. And over time, as I worked on it, it went from being just the most practical to also the most personal. I added a lot of like essays to the book, like short essays, just sort of reflections. I added a lot of personal touches, old family photos, like the title of the book, every recipe title in the book is written in my handwriting, like literally this personal touch. And I definitely feel more connected to this book than any I've written. So it means a lot to me to hear how it landed with you because, it's super personal. So it's really nice to feel like it's been warmly embraced. And that makes me feel like the vulnerability that I experienced in like making the book, it's being supported and it's being kept safe, which just feels pretty amazing. I don't know that I really have words for it, but I thank you for what you said and just how much you're cooking. It makes me so happy.
I think everything you just said it comes through in the book, and that's how I felt so connected with it. That and the fact that I'll get a new cookbook and I'll look through and I'll get all fired up and oh my gosh, I want to make this and I want to make this. And then I need to sit down and I need to write all of the things I have to buy at the store. And this one, I looked through and I got fired up and I started writing down the recipes I want to make. And I realized I already have almost every single thing I need.
That makes me so happy. I can't even tell you. Yeah.
That was huge. And in this book, you have a series of lists. I have an entire cookbook. And I want it. I didn't buy it. And I've been afraid to open it because it's called The Essential Pantry. And it's a whole book on just what your pantry should have. And then I open up Simply Julia, and here's the 5 things in my pantry. And I went, I have those. I have most of them.
That's awesome.
It was so great. But how did you conceive of breaking it down into 5 things in the fridge, 5 things in the pantry, 7 things for this?
Yeah. There are so many numbers in this book. I think in terms of, I just want to make sure you can still hear me. Okay, the wind just picked up a little, but I've got headphones. Okay, I just wanted to check. There's all these lists in the book. It's something I've done in previous books, but I just did more of that than ever in this book. And for me, making lists of things is the way that my brain just like organizes ideas, and I'm a list maker, and it's how I very much manage like my my thoughts and also my anxieties, and it just helps me to write it all down and put it in a list. And so it's basically like how I write down these concepts, and then instead of turning them into more, I don't know, essays or recipes, it just seemed like, why not just share the lists? And I think it's nice to do that because I think in sharing lists of things, whether it's, certain ingredients I like having on hand, or if it's, in the back of the book, there's some really helpful lists, like things you can do with leftover buttermilk. Because again, questions I get asked all the time. Like,
yes,
I have gotten asked that so many times because a lot of people will buy buttermilk to make, pancakes or a baking recipe or, whatever, cornbread or something. And usually a recipe calls for at the most like a cup, but it only comes in a quart, which is 4 cups. And so I feel like people across the country have this carton in their fridge and they don't know what to do with it. So I gave you a list of ideas of things to do with leftover buttermilk. And some of the lists are a little bit more less on that sort of super practical end and more on just like the emotional side of cooking and eating. So there's like a list of questions that you can ask around your, your kitchen table to just help prompt really meaningful like mealtime conversation. Because to me, that's just as important as what you're eating, is like who you're eating with, what you're talking about, that this food is a way for us to connect. So all those lists are basically just my way to put all of my various, like, sometimes disconnected thoughts into one page or one book, and have it make hopefully some sense. And in terms of the thing you said about the fact that you already had all the ingredients on hand, I just want to say, like, again, that makes me so happy to hear. That's like the best compliment, because I really strive to make every recipe full of very just available ingredients, very affordable ingredients, and that accessibility feels, again, just very valuable to me, and very much part of my definition of healthy comfort food. Like, it should be easy. It should be, it shouldn't be expensive. It should be just at your fingertips. And the fact that you had so many of those things, it makes me feel like, we're on the same page, quite literally. And that's a really nice feeling. That makes me feel connected. So anyway.
Loved it.
Yeah. It is the worst when you have to buy something like, you need 4 threads of saffron, and, it's like $50, and like, I'm never going to use the rest of the saffron. Like, I hate recipes like that.
Yeah. I'm with you. And I think that speaks to something that I care a lot about as a cookbook author, because I know you talk to so many different authors, like in this series and everything. And something I think about that distinguishes us cookbook authors from other writers is we are asking our readers to make like a double investment. Like, not only do I hope that you will pick up my book, because I think you'll find it really useful, I'm also asking you to pay for ingredients. I'm asking you to go grocery shopping. I'm asking you to trust what I say and spend more money and more time. And I just feel like that trust is really important. And I try to do whatever I can to just earn it. So, yeah.
Well, if it's okay, I'm going to go through the list of things that I've made. So
amazing.
Turn off my camera. And because they're gonna put the pictures up on the screen. So here's my camera's off.
Okay. Should I turn mine off? I may have missed
if you
that.
can.
Okay.
Only if it's easy. Oh yeah.
There you go.
No problem.
So
no problem.
Here are the things I've made out of this cookbook. I made the black bean and corn tamale pie. I made the shepherd's pie. I made the orange yogurt bread, the banana chocolate chip cake, but I made it into a bread because my family's not a big cake eater, but they love those types of breads. I made the stuffed cabbage, the red cabbage and apples, the jalapeno popper stuffed chicken, which I think is now my husband's favorite dish ever. The chicken Reuben, which was really good the next day. The fried rice was amazing. The cauliflower and cabbage tacos, which my husband did request. We had some left over if we could add some chicken to it.
That's fine.
Which I did. And
sounds like my husband. He would do the same thing. Add some meat.
The everything bagel egg pie, or egg sandwich, the handheld sandwiches. I did not set out to make this many dishes before we talked, but everything was so easy. There's not one Pinterest fail. As I said earlier, I could live out of this book, and we can go back. We can turn our cameras back on now. These dishes seem too easy to be as flavorful as they are, and they seem too flavorful to be as healthy as they are. And you put a healthy component in. Can you talk about what you say you want to make dishes that don't try to wow you but hug? Yeah. And I love that. And you added a healthy component. Can you talk about what you did to make these comfort food dishes a little healthier and why?
Sure. Yeah. I love that slideshow. That was amazing. I feel like I just went to my own, I don't know, prom or something, like wherever they show you like the best of pictures. That was really amazing. And I have seen, as you posted these things, I've seen them, but not like all at once in a row. That was really cool. So thanks for not only cooking, but for documenting it. It's really amazing.
Here's the cookies.
You have the
The
cookies?
ginger cookies.
Amazing. So in terms of, what makes these recipes healthy, I guess I should back up and say how I define healthy, which we spoke a little bit about. For me, it's not about weight loss. It's not about deprivation. It's not about restriction. I think so many cookbooks, so many menus, so many food products, anywhere where there's words trying to sell you something about food, basically. I think all these things, whenever you see the word healthy pop up, I always pause and I'm like, what do they mean by that? Because sometimes I think it's like a code word for, maybe it's like some type of, diet or disordered eating of some kind. And so I just want to be really clear what I mean when I say healthy, which is, again, it's how we feel when we cook and eat. And when I feel healthy, honestly, I feel free. I feel like liberated from guilt and restriction. I feel like at peace in my body. I feel connected to the people I'm with. So that's how I kind of define it. But on a more like logistic level of like what's actually in the recipes, like what is the food? All the recipes in this book are informed primarily by two things. One is my wife, Grace, who lives with type 1 diabetes, which means that she can eat anything. It's just, it's a lot easier for her to manage the kind of ups and downs of taking insulin, if she's eating a lower carb diet. So there's plenty of carbohydrates in the book. We are not afraid of them in our house, but they're very considered. And, I do a lot of things like in a lot of the baked goods, almost everything is half all-purpose flour and half whole wheat flour. And, that adds a bit more fiber, and it's still a carbohydrate. It's a slightly different, it's processed a little differently. I also add it because I like the flavor. Like it tastes kind of nutty. Like I like things that taste sort of like whole grainy. Like
Got a little more chew to it. Yeah.
That's just like what I like. So it's informed a lot by that. I'm not afraid of sugar, but I use only as much as I need, not more. So everything is just very considered, I would say. And the other thing that really informs so many of the recipes is a lot of the volunteer work I do in my community. So my wife and I cook once a week at an organization that's essentially like our kind of local version of Meals on Wheels. So we're cooking for homebound clients. So, and a lot of these clients are living with pretty serious chronic diseases and illness. And so a lot of them are on pretty intense medication that require food and they don't have an appetite. So I want to make food that's really comforting, that, try to hug you, not wow you. I'm not trying to impress any of our clients. I just want to take care of them. I want to provide something that they're excited to eat. And, I also want to pack those meals with as many just nutrients and, fresh things and just like a lot of love. And, that is to me the definition of healthy comfort food. It's what we make in our, volunteer shifts. So because that's been a part of my weekly cooking routine for so many years now, so many of those recipes come into the book, and just the spirit, I think, of how and what we cook there comes into the book. And I guess the only other thing I should mention in terms of the recipes themselves and health is that, just as with the ingredients being so accessible, available, affordable, all these A words, the recipes are also they're written by me, a home cook, for other home cooks, so they're mindful not just of like ingredients, but also like how many tools and utensils am I telling you to use? I use a nonstick pan in so many recipes, not because like you use less oil. I mean, sure, I guess that's good in some ways, but it's because it's so much easier to clean. Like they just wipe off so easily, or I can throw it in my dishwasher. And I think these types of things, these considerations are just very important to me. And again, go back to that, like valuing of home cooking, because we as home cooks are not just making the meal. We're shopping for it. We're budgeting for it. We are keeping this constant mental inventory of what's in our fridge and freezer and cabinet. We're cleaning up. We are paying attention to the people around us and what their needs and desires are. And that is just a lot of labor, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of energy. And I want to honor that and like do whatever I can to help us all make food that we really love and look forward to, but also that doesn't add more stress to our list, because the world is plenty stressful. Like making dinner doesn't have to be one of them.
Right.
Love that. Love that.
We have a question. I want to, if you don't mind my interjection.
Not at all.
From Maxwell Gregory. What is your favorite recipe from the cookbook?
I mean, that's such an impossible question.
Choose one of your children. Which one do you like the best? Yeah.
I mean, the easy answer is I love all of them. That's why they're in the book. But I'm happy to tell you some that I'll tell you maybe like a couple that I make most frequently. I make the white pizza style kale all the time. And what that is, it's just a big skillet of like garlicky greens. I call for kale, but you can use whatever, spinach or whatever you want. And then I top it with a little bit of ricotta cheese and mozzarella, and I run it under the broiler. And then when I take it out, I sprinkle basically all the things that I would sprinkle on a slice of New York City pizza. So I sprinkle a little dried oregano, like a little garlic powder, some chili flake if you like spicy, and it is so good. And I feel like it's a great example of all the recipes in the book, because it's one pan. It's really easy. It comes together really quickly. It's incredibly good for you. It's a big skillet of fresh greens, but it's also completely unafraid of flavor. It's unafraid of cheese, and it's also really fun. And I think that our home kitchens give us a place where we can remember we can have some fun in our day-to-day lives, if we want to. And I want to, like, I want to eat food that sort of makes me, smile. So yeah, that's one. I guess I'll go with that. I'll say that's my favorite.
Great. Maxwell is one of my book selling friends, and she is a huge cookbook. I mean, she reads, but she cooks like a mad woman. And she was very jealous that I had gotten a hold of this book before she did.
I recognize Maxwell's name from Instagram. I know Maxwell's been cooking out of the book, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
As I appreciate you cooking out of it, and it's really nice that Maxwell's here, and I appreciate the question.
What do you think is, because you've got the list, you've got this short list of kitchen things that you need. What is, in your opinion, the most underrated kitchen tool? One tool that you're just like, I use this for everything.
Yeah, that's a great question. I use my toaster oven all the time. I love my toaster oven. I think I use it every day, and yeah, for toast, but also for so many other things. I think that's also because my household is just me and my wife. It's just the two of us. So if I want to bake 2 potatoes, I'd rather just throw them in there than turn on our, larger oven. I do a lot of, like, when I make cookie dough, I portion it out and I freeze it. And so all the time I'll bake off just like a couple cookies for us in the toaster oven so we can have like warm cookies while we're watching TV. I love my toaster oven. I make fish in it. Like, I'll wrap fish in a piece of foil and, stick it on the tray, like a little bit of lemon, maybe some butter. It's so good. It's like no cleanup. So yeah, I'm on Team Toaster Oven.
Team Toaster Oven. That is fantastic. What's the most overrated kitchen tool?
Oh gosh, there's more of those, I would say, than underrated. Most overrated. Let's see. What I think a lot of people feel like they need to own that I really don't think is like an entire knife set, like the big knife block with 20 knives. Like, I am a firm believer that if you cook all the time, like, I think you need 3 knives and that's it. Like a chef's knife, a little paring knife, cut up an apple or whatever, and like a serrated knife for bread or like tomatoes.
Love it.
Anthony Bourdain says the same thing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. You touched on this a little bit before, as far as, every time you see a beautifully plated meal, there's like a sink full of dishes behind. And I think one of the other reasons I have connected so strongly is my grandmother was, she was not a great cook, but she cooked with so much love. And one of my prized possessions is this recipe box that she gave me.
That's so cute.
For our wedding shower,
Wow.
32 years ago.
Wow.
And she gave me this little note, and it says, one of the greatest joys of my life was to prepare food for my grandchildren and be with them when they ate it.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And she also was huge on service, and she cooked for everybody. But what I remember is she would sit with us as kids, but if there was a big meal, she spent the whole day cooking and then the whole day serving.
Mm-hmm.
And then before she'd maybe sit down for a moment, and then she was up like clearing. And I love the fact that you are so mindful of only a few dishes and as few as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole act of eating together is so big.
Yeah.
I love that so much about everything that you talked about in here.
Thank you. Thanks for showing us the recipe box. That's really amazing to see. Yeah.
It's my treasure. My treasure.
Yeah, that's a very valuable thing you've got. That's cool.
The other thing I really love about your recipes is you may have a vegan recipe,
Mm-hmm.
but you're very quick to say, hey, if you eat meat, add meat.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very freeing in your recipes as well. The fact that you tell people add a little of that or don't add this, and if you like this, put more. What's your philosophy behind vegan versus?
Sure.
Do you and your wife, are you vegan or?
I mean, I eat everything. Grace has more preferences than I do. I'm always happy to eat whatever. But yeah, neither of us subscribe to, a vegan diet or any particular, diet in that way. And I think that there are more people probably like us than there are people who are strictly anything, vegan or vegetarian or whatever. And I just really, I like that. I like the idea that, maybe one night I am going to make dinner and it's going to be, I'm going to make tacos and I want Mexican food. And one night maybe I'll get takeout from the Japanese restaurant that's 20 minutes away. And one night I'm going to roast a chicken and potatoes. And one night I'm going to have a vegan meal. And it just is part of my overall diet. And maybe most of my plate is vegan. I like that your husband, it sounds to me that he enjoyed the vegan tacos, the roasted cauliflower and cabbage ones, and then was like, oh, can we add a little chicken? And by all means, if you enjoy chicken, add the chicken. I feel very flexible about my recipes and cooking in general. And, the question I get asked in addition to what's your favorite recipe is which recipe should I start with? And my response to that question is always well, tell me what you like. And I'll point you in the right direction because that's what you should start with. We should all be cooking what we like to eat, not what anyone is telling us we should like. So, I give all the information in my book so you can make as informed of a decision as possible. But, I have no judgment. I wanted everyone when they open this book to not feel judged. That's very important to me. Whether it's your cooking ability or your body or what you eat or what you don't eat, I have no opinion. I just want to share useful information. And so that's why, there's a chapter of one pot vegan meals because that's something I like to make a lot. I like one pot meals. I really like vegan food because I just basically love vegetables and beans and stuff. I think they're delicious. And that comes right next to a chapter of chicken recipes because that's also something I eat a lot and something I get asked a lot. And I just think there's definitely it's okay for one book to have both those chapters in it.
So we have a question here.
Yeah.
Gluten-free. Do you ever cook gluten-free? And then you have a favorite flour?
Sure. Great question. And very much tied into what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So I do sometimes cook and bake gluten-free items when, I do just naturally all the time, if I'm baking. Let's see. In the book, there's this really, really delicious pear polenta cake, and it's made with almond flour and cornmeal. So it just happens to be gluten-free. I do a lot of stuff like that. just because I love the flavor of almonds and cornmeal. I love the texture of it. I didn't set out to make a gluten-free cake. I just set out to make a cake I really liked, and it happened to be gluten-free. So I make stuff like that a lot. And then I do have my sister-in-law can't eat gluten, and it makes her really sick. So, when I cook for her, I'm really, careful about it because I don't want her to be sick. And that's not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing, but and so I think the thing that informs all of my cooking is just trying to be considerate. So yeah, I totally cook gluten-free things sometimes, but my body is fine to tolerate gluten and I enjoy it. So I eat a lot of it. And I just think if one size fit all for all of us, like there'd just be a lot less to talk about.
Right.
But in terms of the other part of that question about gluten-free flour, there's so many different ones. And I honestly, I used to try them all, and now there's just too many for me to try. But the one I've had the most success with, especially swapping out for just regular all-purpose flour, is the brand Cup for Cup, like number 4 cup for cup. That one I've just had the most success with when I'm just trying to swap just regular flour. But I like using things like I mentioned, cornmeal and almond flour and stuff that just has like wonderful flavor and texture.
Yeah. Awesome. What is your favorite healthy thing? Oh, wait, sorry. This is from Jenna, the founder of The Blaze. So we got to ask this. What's y'all's favorite thing to eat? I know Jenna doesn't actually use the word y'all, but I'm appreciating her, What's y'all's favorite thing to eat?
Just in general?
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I thought of was, well, I had two thoughts at the same time and they collided, and one was ice cream and one was pizza. So basically I just want to go to kids' birthday parties all the time.
Yeah, why not? Right? Sounds good.
What about the two of you? I'm so curious.
I love ice cream.
Yeah.
I love ice cream. I love popcorn.
Mm-hmm, me too.
It's like a kind of a guilt-free. I love to sprinkle different toppings on it. My friend's husband is an artisan. He's a wood turner, and he made me my own. He made it for my husband and I, but it's mine. Popcorn bowl. So I've got this beautiful ginkgo wood popcorn.
Wow.
I just fill
it up.
And I can pretty much sit in it and just eat my way out, and it's wonderful.
That sounds great.
God, it's hard to choose. When you're talking about ice cream, I was thinking about how much I like cake and ice cream together. It's just so good. But I also I love bread. I love baguette dipped in oil. I love fresh Irish brown bread slathered with Kerrygold butter.
Ooh, that sounds great.
Oh my God, bread. I'm just a bread fanatic. So
all right, I have one other thing that I need to know, and I need other people to know. One of your essays talks about singing and recipes.
Take it from there.
How do those two fit together?
Yeah, they don't seem so related. I'll just share the story. This is a really fun story. So this basically, I went to the singing workshop, and I didn't go for any reason to do with recipes. I went because I am a person who really loves talking to other people. I have so enjoyed this with the two of you. I love talking to people I haven't met before. I'm not shy, but I'm very soft-spoken. So right now, being plugged into my headphones is great because I feel like you can hear me. If we were in a room of people, I don't know how many people, but if there were quite a few people, the people in the back probably couldn't hear me. I'm just not very loud. So after a lot of therapy and stuff, I just thought, maybe there's something more to this. Maybe I'm a little scared of raising my voice. And so I decided to do something that terrified me, and I went to a singing workshop. So I went away for a weekend, a couple hours from my house, this really funny retreat center place, and I was with a group of about 20 women. I was the youngest by a lot, and it was the most fun and scary and wonderful weekend. And I basically spent all weekend with these amazing women, and we were just singing, singing and singing and singing. And the way it worked is we had a teacher, and she would sing something and we would listen and we would sing it back to her. We never were handed, a notebook or a piece of paper or anything with lyrics or music or anything. It was just sort of this call and response. And it was amazing because it, required that we all be incredibly present. We had to really listen and sing back. And I think that's part of why I just loved it. So I had this really fun experience, and I come home, I open the door right behind me. I open this door and I come inside my house, and my wife was like, "How was it?" I was like, "It was amazing." And then she was like, "Great, like sing me a song." And I paused and I realized I couldn't remember a single song. And this wasn't like days later or weeks later. This was like as I came in the door. And she was like, "What do you mean? You've done this all weekend. Like, how do you not remember a song?" And I was like, "We sang so many songs and I was so present that I now don't remember any." And it was just this really funny thing. But in that moment, the realization I had was, this is why I write recipes, because, Jane and Mary, you could have been in my kitchen during this whole time, which would have been really fun. I could have showed you how I make something that I really love to make. I could have given you, a taste of it. I could have, walked through every single step. You could have been completely present for this exchange. And then you could have gotten in your cars and driven home. And then your spouses may have been, like, "Can you make me the thing?"
Yeah.
And if I don't give you a recipe, maybe you could, maybe other people could sing the song, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
And it made it so clear to me that even if we have these really amazing in-person present experiences, there's a lot of value in writing things down and sharing the information so that we can keep replicating it. We can keep singing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gave me a lot of, insight and sort of clarity about my work that just felt really valuable. And it also has helped me because I love writing recipes. I love what I do. But when I'm not working on a recipe for a book, like I never follow recipes. Like I cook very intuitively, just like that singing teacher just knew all these songs. She could just sing them. She could teach them. So I feel like in the kitchen, I'm her. But when it comes to singing, I'm me.
Right.
So I just want to help give people all the information possible so you can get to that confident place of not needing the recipe if you don't want to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And that's, it's that kind of story that you wove through this cookbook that just makes it more than a cookbook. It's so much more than just a cookbook. It's a connection. And, as you talked about having conversations around the meals, every recipe I made was a conversation with my husband and myself, and
That's awesome.
And my kids and myself. My pregnant daughter had more than one of these ginger cookies.
As well, she should.
Yeah, she can have as many as she wants. Everyone can have as many.
I will make her as many batches as she wants. But it's just one more thing I adore about this book.
Thank you.
It's magic. Just
Thank
magic.
you so much. Thank you.
Everyone's got to buy it. Like everyone watching. I'm literally going to, like, after we're done here, I'm going to go buy it. Like I'm going to go to bookshop.org and get it because I'm totally sold and totally psyched.
Can I say just something quickly about that I can't believe I'm saying, but the last I checked, because someone told me, it's backlisted at Bookshop, which is like,
wow.
I never thought I'd be in the position to say that. So cool. I so appreciate what you just said. I want everyone to do that, but I also don't want anyone to be disappointed. Maybe it's been updated. I could be wrong, but I would also just love to suggest indiebound.com, which will like it'll lead you to like your local independent bookstore. So go to Oblong. That's my local independent bookstore, and you can get a signed copy. I can personalize it. Yeah, I go there all the time just anyway, so I'm always happy.
So we can, if we would maybe want to give this as a gift, we could go to Oblong and
order a signed
it for us.
Oh, I've written many, like, happy birthdays, anniversary, whatever it is. I've like had some pretty funny requests, so I'm happy to write anything.
Love it. Well, be careful what you wish for.
I know. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud.
Excellent. All right. Awesome. Well, everyone go to Oblong Books and order your copy of Simply Julia or whatever, and you know, all of the books. And yeah, thank you so much for being here with us, Julia. This has been so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah. Thanks for getting me to get some fresh air. This has been wonderful.
Sometimes technology, failing is a gift.
Totally. No, thank you. This was really fun. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, what a thrill. Absolute thrill for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. See you next week.